Murr and Sal needed roadside assistance, so they're first up on the loser board. All the shouties did the naughty, which makes Sal and Murr tonight's big losers. Murr and Sal flunked this one, so they're first up on the loser board. Sal was one step ahead of the competition, making Murr tonight's big loser. Sal couldn't make it past the front desk, so he's first up on the loser board. Sal put up a good fight, but he's still tonight's big loser. The lab results are in, and Joe is free and clear of the loser board. Joe got dumped in a double down challenge, making him tonight's big loser. Q and Sal couldn't pick up the tab, so they're headed to the loser board. Q got his texting privileges revoked, making him tonight's big loser. Murr couldn't turn the page, so he's first up on the loser board. No winners presented themselves, making Murr tonight's big loser. Joe lost this costume contest, so he's first up on the loser board. The guilt trips worked for both guys, making Joe tonight's big loser. Q, Murr, and Sal lacked zest, so they're first up on the loser board. Q altered his turn, making him a perfect fit for the loser board. World Hunger wins, making Q tonight's big loser. This was a romantic tragedy for Sal and Q, so they're first up on the loser board. Joe and Q were demolished, making Q tonight's big loser. No surprise here, Sal couldn't keep it together, so he's first up on the loser board. Joe hit the sweet spot, making Sal tonight's big loser. Joe and Q kept it cool, so they're safe from the loser board. It was a kiss of death for Murr and Q, making Murr tonight's big loser. Survey says Q's first up on the loser board. The message is loud and clear. Q is tonight's big loser. Murr and Joe are the tag team champions of the world, so Sal and Q are on the loser board. Sal's definitely getting this message. He's tonight's big loser. Q and Murr couldn't cut the mustard, so they're first up on the loser board. Joe and Murr couldn't sway the public, making Murr tonight's big loser. Q and Murr couldn't con their customers, so they're first up on the loser board. Murr and Sal need to work on their team building, making Murr tonight's big loser. Joe got rubbed the wrong way, so he's first up on the loser board. The book is closed on Joe. He's tonight's big loser. Just call Sal Sir Laughs a Lot. He's first up on the loser board. It's a photo finish, and Sal is tonight's big loser. Q lost his lookout, so he's headed to the loser board. The long and short of it is that Q is tonight's big loser. Ah, finally! Looks like Murr, Sal, and Q are first up on the loser board. Things aren't okay for Q. He's tonight's big loser. All the guys sealed the deal, so for now, they're staying off the loser board. Sal got pickled, making him tonight's big loser. Murr got nickel and dimed, so he's first up on the loser board. Q's on to bigger and better things, while Joe is stuck on the loser board. Murr was on the wrong side of this fruit dispute, making him tonight's big loser. Joe couldn't give full service, so he's first up on the loser board. Sal's the only one cashing in, making Joe tonight's big loser. All the guys made it in Hollywood, so they're safe from the loser board. It's coming up aces for the jokers in Hollywood. The loser board is still empty. Biggity bam! All the guys are headed to the loser board. That's a wrap on Murr. He's tonight's big loser. Close the book on Sal. He's first up on the loser board. All the guys are single and ready to mingle at Sal's punishment. Jeff smelt it and Joe dealt it, so he's first up on the loser board. Joe and Sal overplayed their problems, making Joe tonight's big loser. Which, please, Murr and Sal are headed to the loser board. Murr checked his calendar, and tonight is his big punishment.